Hi everyone, hope you're all keeping well. Today we're going to be looking at graphing in Google Sheets for SQA courses. Just a quick disclaimer before we start, the information that I'm about to provide you with is my interpretation of the rules as set out by the SQA, so this isn't in any way endorsed by the SQA. Just want to make sure that we're all clear on that before we begin. So let's have a quick look at our learning intention and success criteria. Our learning intention to learn how to plot a graph using Google Sheets for SQA courses. Our success criteria: I can produce a scatter graph in Google Sheets. I can format my graph appropriately for SQA physics courses. Now, it's appropriate at this point probably just to point out that the formatting techniques we're going to be looking at are going to be the same no matter whether you're looking at National 3 Physics or Advanced Higher Physics or anything in between. So if you're doing National 3 Physics, National 4 Physics, National 5, Higher or Advanced Higher, you will format your graph in exactly the same way. There's not going to be any major differences in the way that you format it. In some of the later courses, perhaps you might want to include some extra information in your graphs, but which we'll not look at here. But the general formatting you're going to keep the same throughout. Okay, so let's have a look at the screen and we will see just exactly how we're going to do this. So you want to make sure first of all that you click on the link below so that you can get a hold of a copy of the data that I'm using. That way you can work along while we do this in Google Sheets. Okay, you'll notice that the title on this one here is graphing data. There's no extension at the end of this here, so we know that this is the Google Sheets format. The next thing you'll notice, and the handy thing about this is it's all done in the browser, so we don't actually have to download anything as such. However, you will notice that this says here view only. If you click on this, you can request edit access. I'm not going to give you edit access, I'm afraid. But what you can do, what I have allowed, if you click on file and click on make a copy, then what this will do is it will save a copy of this, and you can change the name as you like. I'm just going to remove this copy of graphing data and we'll maybe call it graphing data 2 just to distinguish it. That's going to just save to my Google Drive, so make sure you have signed. You'll probably need to have signed in with a Google account to be able to do this. And if I click OK, and there we go. This is going to bring up this data here now in an editable format. So this is just working away, doing what it needs to do. Okay, and I'm just going to click on this to get rid of that box there. So now I'm ready to produce my chart. So all I'm going to do is actually before I do that, I'm just going to point out something here to you. You'll notice at the bottom there are two sets of data. We've got one straight line graph. This is the one we're going to work with. The second one here, try it yourself. This is for you to try after this tutorial is complete. It's the second set of data to see whether you can produce something similar to what we've done the first time. So the second set of data is the acceleration of a dropped ball. The first set of data, this is what we're going to work on, is charge versus time. So we've got a column with time, we've got a column with charge. So let's produce our chart. Now that's nice and easy. All I'm going to do is I'm going to click here on this first box here. Now I can do this one of two ways. I can either click on and hold in this first box and I drag all the way down and that selects them all, or if I just click on the first box, hold the shift button and then click on this last box, that's going to highlight them all there. So that's me got my data highlighted. You'll notice I've not highlighted either of these column headings. I'm just going to leave them out for now. Click on insert and I'm going to go down and I'm going to select chart. Okay. And that's going to bring up this here. It's going to give me different options. So at the moment this has selected, this is a setup box here, so this is selected line chart first of all. Now we don't want a line chart, so we're going to click on this here and I am going to, if I can bring this back up, there we go, back down. So we'll scroll down, keep scrolling down until we get to scatter. So I'm going to click on this scatter chart here. So this is what I'm going to do, and it's going to bring up just a set of points which is our data. So that's me got my graph in a useful format. So now I can click on this customize button and I see the first thing here, chart title and axis. Now I'm going to click on this, and chart title I don't actually need. So actually what I'm going to do first of all is I'm just going to see if we can get rid of that. So I click on new I click on delete, and that's going to get rid of that chart title. This might be slightly different if you're doing it on a mobile device, so if you are working on a mobile device and you're needing some extra assistance, let me know and I can see if I can produce something on a mobile device. I've only got Apple devices at home, but I'm sure I could figure out a way to get a hold of something to show you how to do this on an Android device as well. So we don't need chart title, so we're going to get rid of that. However, what we do want is we want axis title. So I'm going to click on horizontal axis title, and you'll notice that that already has time, that already has charge. This is really useful because this has already put these in for us, so I don't need to worry about that at all. I can, if I want to, I can change the font, or I can change the size. I'm going to change this just so it's size 12, and I'm going to do the same over here. I click on that one, it changes this to vertical axis size, and I'm just going to click on size 12 just to make sure that that's perfectly visible. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my data points. Okay, and you'll see this brings up series. This is data series 1. We've only got one set of data in here, so we only would have one series. I can change the color here if I want. I can scroll down and I can see I've got a point size and I've got a point shape. Now in here, this is just circles. If I just click off of this just for a wee second, you'll see this is just circles. SQA don't like these circles. Basically, if we're trying to read a graph, then we have to try and find the exact center of that circle, and that's actually quite a hard thing to do. So if I come back and click on these data points, I'm going to click on this here and click on series. Yeah, there we go. Right click there, and it brings this back up here, and customize this here. So hang on, it's not selected this. I'm just going to go back and select this as a data series. Scroll down, clicking back to circle. Lots of different options here. SQA don't like most of these, so what we're going to go with is we're going to go with this X mark. Okay, so we're going to go with X. Now what you can do here is we can increase this. So I could increase this to 10 point or increase this to 14 point. However, the issue with this is it makes it a bit thicker in the middle, and we don't want to do that. So I'm going to suggest that you leave that at 7 point at the largest. You could even take it down to 2 point, but it does make the points quite small. So if you're using a thick line, it might make it harder to see. So I'm going to leave them at 7 point just now, just so that it's easy for you to see everything. So now I'm going to click on my axis here. So this is my the grid line. Sorry, so these are the primary grid lines here. So what I'm going to do, grid line count is automatic. I'm not going to do anything about that. But what I want to do is I want to make these nice and dark so that I can see them. So I'm going to make them maybe not quite black, but we're going to make them quite a dark grey. And I'm going to do the same on the vertical axis. Okay, and I'm just going to choose that same color again, and that makes these nice and dark, nice and easy to see. Now what I want to make sure as well is that I have minor grid lines. So you see here minor grid line count is set to none. Now you've got a couple of options here. You can go from 1 all the way up to 10. We're going to go with 10 so that we've got 10 all in between each of these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this color so that it's much lighter so that you can tell the difference hopefully between these, and you can make that even lighter again if you want, just to make sure that you can easily tell the difference. That's maybe a little bit too light, so I'm going to go just one darker again. There we go. Now if I go back to the horizontal axis, I just need to change this minor grid line count again here, and we're going to go with just that same color there so that that is nice and easy to see and nice and easy to distinguish. So I've got minor grid lines, I've got major grid lines. Other thing that I would like to do at this point in time is just click on this axis here, and I'm going to see if we can change the color of this now. Is that actually, let me just have a look and see, because that might already be dark. I think that's actually already changed, so we don't need to do anything with that. Good, okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my data points again. So you see these are quite thick when I click on them, so it kind of highlights that I've clicked on them. So it says data series 1 here. I'm going to scroll down here, and it's going to allow me to do a couple of things. I can add a trend line. So we're going to add a trend line, and it brings up some options for the trend line. So linear is the option that we're going to have, so that just means it's a straight trend line, which goes not through all the points. This is like a line of best fit, so it doesn't go through all the points. It's a line that goes close to all the points, it's automatically selected a line thickness of 2 pixels. You might want to make that thinner, but you don't want to make it too thin. So 1 or 2 pixels would probably be fine. Thick line. This is basically how faint the line is, so how much you can see through it. If you click 0, then you can see through it completely, so basically it's invisible. If you click 100%, then it makes it nice and dark. So we can do that. You can actually click back down again. You'll see that line is a wee bit more visible when we've got it set to 1 pixel. Okay, and if I keep scrolling down, what I can do is I can click on this label and I can add in an equation. So this adds in the equation for this straight line. Another thing I can do then is I can add the r² value. Okay, so this is giving me this up at the top here. I can probably move it around on here if I really wanted to, but I'm not going to bother. So you'll see here, this is y equals 2.11 times x plus 0.0933. Okay, so this 0.0933 is where this line crosses the x-axis, and the 2.11 is the gradient of this line. So remember, y here would be charge, x is time. So basically what we're saying is that charge, or q, is equal to this number times t. And hopefully that reminds you of an equation. I'll let you have a little think about that. Yeah, hopefully you've came to the conclusion that the equation is q equals I times t, or charge is equal to current times time. And that's essentially the equation we've got here. Now our data isn't perfect, which is why we've got this plus 0.0933. It's fairly close to going through the origin, but it's not quite going through the origin. Now I will point out here that this doesn't go all the way down to the origin on the x-axis. You can see that there's a 0 here on this axis, but there's no 0 on this axis. And this distance between here and here isn't all the way to 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and fix that just to make sure that we can see all the way back to 0. This isn't something that is always necessary, so sometimes you might not want to do this, and there are occasions where that is the case. That would normally kind of happen where if you've got maybe very, very large data here and a big huge gap between 0 and this data starting, then it can kind of cause issues. But if you don't have a straight axis which goes from 0 without any breaks, then you can infer that something is directly proportional. So do be aware of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the button here. So we're going to click on this axis here so that it's got the horizontal axis selected here. I'm going to scroll down so it says minimum value, and I'm going to select 0 as the minimum value. And if I press enter, you'll notice that 0 is now the minimum value here. Now you notice this is going up in steps of 2 here, so what I might want to also do, just for completeness, is set the maximum value to 12. So that's going to extend this going along this way just ever so slightly. Now the graph here is now going from 0 all the way up to 25. This almost looks like it's kind of getting cut slightly off here, but actually what's happening is the trend line has been extended back to 0 and on all the way up to the point where it leaves the graph here. So remember, your last data point is here at 10 and your first data point is here at 1, and as long as your line of best fit starts at 1 and goes all the way to at least 10 in this case, then it starts at your first data point and goes all the way to your last data point, then your line of best fit is fine, absolutely fine. So we've got our line of best fit, we have our equation, we've got this r² value which we kind of mentioned briefly. R² basically tells you how good this line of best fit is, how close it is to fitting the data. So if it's closer to 1, it's better. If it's further away from 1, it's less good, as it were. So if you have a value of 0.999, that's fairly close to 1. That's a good line of best fit. If you've got a value here that's much less than 1, so if you had like 0.1 or something, then this would be a poor line of best fit. That's us. We could go ahead then if we wanted to, and we could look at changing font sizes. I've done that there already. I could set the font size there. If I click on these numbers here, I can change the font size here. If I want to, I can change the font that I want to use. I can make things bold. I can change the text color, whatever I want to do. I can also, if I click on this axis here, if I wanted to, I could update the minimum and maximum value on the x-axis and the y-axis, so that I can do that nice and easily in there as well. There we have it. We've essentially got our data. You can copy this, you can put it into a Google Docs document, and you could use it in some sort of report that you were trying to write. I'm going to leave you there at this point in time, and what I'd like for you to try and do is to have a go at this second set of data. Hopefully you've managed to reproduce this set of data here. Have a go at this second set of data now. So this is for the acceleration of a dropped ball. So in the x-axis this time you've got time in seconds, and in the y-axis you have the change in speed in meters per second, and I shall try and update that to make sure that it's either subscript, or we will basically fix it so that the formatting is correct when you guys get to see this. In the meantime, let's go back now and have a look at the success criteria that we came up with again. So let's see what that looked like. Okay, so hopefully by now we have managed to, first of all, reproduce the graph that I was creating. You managed to do that for yourselves, working along with me. So hopefully you managed to reproduce that graph to the same standard that I managed to produce it to. And hopefully you've either gone away and had a go at the other graph, or you will have a look at that data and produce another graph after we've finished watching this video. Quite important to have a go at it just yourself, just to make sure that you're quite comfortable with all the formatting techniques that we used, and you're able to kind of produce that and to a similar standard as to what we did already. So let's have a quick look at our success criteria again. Can you do the following, or in other words, have you successfully reproduced the graph in the video? I can produce a scatter graph in Google Sheets. I can format my graph appropriately for SQA courses. If you've managed to do that, well done, give yourselves a pat in the back. If you've not and you're not sure where you're going wrong, do ask questions. More than happy to give you a hand if you need it. Hopefully this is all nice and clear for you now. If it's not, as I say, just go ahead, ask any questions you feel that you need to ask. I'm more than happy to give you whatever help you need as you go along. In the meantime, over the next couple of weeks we're going to hopefully be looking a little bit at digital electronics, so lots to look forward to. In the meantime, keep yourself safe. Hopefully we'll get to see each other soon, and I'll see you later.